brought you Twilio earnings here yesterday. The stock sold off today despite a sales beat. Investors keying in on some soft guidance for the current quarter. Twilio did reiterate its full year 2025 targets, however. Shares had been up nearly 30% heading into this print since the company's Investor Day, which we also brought you here. That 2025 Investor Day guidance was first provided. Joining us now for an exclusive interview is Khozema Shipchandler, Twilio CEO. Good to see you. So today's market move in reaction to earnings took back a little bit more than half of the move post Investor Day. So tell me about the spending and the EPS picture for Twilio as you continue this turnaround and how it fits in the context of the targets that you just set at Investor Day a couple weeks ago.
Sure. Thanks for having me. First of all, I think we've had a really good run this year. And, obviously today, we don't necessarily manage the company for day-to-day movements in the stock. But instead, what I'd really focus on is Q3, Q4 last year, two significant quarters for us, double-digit growth in both. And I think we also crossed a really important milestone for the company. It was our first quarter in Q4 of GAAP profitability for the company. And then as you referenced, just 3 weeks back, we put out what I think is a really exciting framework for investors. So really durable growth over a 3-year period and $3 billion of cash flow to go with it, plus a $2 billion announcement around a share buyback. So I think there's a lot in front of us, John.
You are the former chief financial officer there and have emphasized kind of efficient running of the company, while you also at Investor Day talked about investing in innovation to drive growth going forward. And you also gave a little color on the number of AI companies, young companies that are using your technology. How much of that is going to drive the growth in the nearer term, or is the AI growth, and you talked about this a little bit 3 weeks ago, more a 26, 27 picture?
Yeah, I think the AI phenomenon, it's one of the most incredibly exciting events of our lifetime. But I think as it relates to revenue and the way that it shows up, it's probably more medium term, 25 or 26, 27, as you alluded to. I will say that in many of my conversations with customers, they're incredibly excited about the prospects for deploying it. I think for Twilio specifically, AI is really an activation for contextual data. I think contextual data is really at the heart of the story. And it speaks to our vision of combining communications, contextual data, and AI to be able to drive superior ROI for our customer base.
Co, it's Morgan. I am curious, because I don't think you've been on since we saw that DeepSeek shakeout, what your thoughts are on that, especially if you do see falling costs, falling prices associated with more competition in the market, what it's going to mean for Twilio and what it's going to mean for this ecosystem.
Yeah, I think for us, it's a pretty limited factor, actually. None of the conversations that I've had with customers really contemplate cost per GPU or something of that nature. We're obviously not making CapEx investments of our own. I think instead what customers tend to be really keyed on is what's the ROI that I can extract from the products and services that you offer. I think if the price of all this stuff comes down, I think that around the margins, that'll provide some tailwind, but it's not really something that we spend a lot of time thinking about, and our customers don't ask us about it.
So what effect is the adoption of AI more vertically into industries you think going to have for Twilio as you kind of bridge that communication gap and an AI gap, some might argue, with their customers?
I think it's going to be completely transformative for our customers. I think what it's going to allow for each of us as individuals is fundamentally much more engaging conversations between ourselves as consumers and the brands that we care about. And the way that we think about it is that every one of these communications between a company and their customers requires a communication. It gets enriched by having deep contextual data, which we have, that's powered by our Segment asset. And then you use AI as an ongoing learning mechanism. It drives the use of that data in those interactions to make them better. And I think that this is going to be super transformative for the consumer, and I think we'll all benefit.